This is what I'm gonna use to destroy Steve. Smells like victory. Okay, here we are, guys, our very first video of CES 2019. Of course, we are kicking things off here at EVGA because they've got a new graphics card, one we've been waiting for a while, and that is, of course, the 2080 Ti Kingpin. But before we talk about that, I need to thank our sponsors, that being Corsair and the new Corsair One HPD desktop. So go and check them out in the link below. Again, a huge thank you to Corsair for sponsoring our trip this year. Now this is the Kingpin 2080 Ti, card we've been waiting for a while. The Turing architecture is kind of plagued with power delivery and power limit, I don't want to say issues, but very low overhead. What that means is, although the core is great at overclocking, the power delivery system of it really holds it back, where even if you have temperatures kept down into the 50s on water, you could still see power limit becoming what's holding you back. If you haven't seen our coverage on that, go and check it out. Well, Kingpin, being of course Kingpin, has removed all of those limits, well, virtually all of those limits, with his custom card. Now this is like the 5th Kingpin card, I believe it is. This has a 520 watt TDP. Now to tell you what that means, when we had our 2XT Ultras, which had a custom BIOS on there, which would allow us to go to 153% power draw on top of the Founders VRM design, we were seeing roughly 340-ish watts. So this is capable of nearly 200 more watts of power draw than what we were seeing when we already had broken the world record when we had that attempt. So if you were to take something like this and hook it up to exotic cooling, like say LN2 or dry ice, then you would definitely be able to see maybe a chip limitation long before power limit, which is what was really holding back the competition between Steve and I. Now obviously the intro is a little bit of a joke. We know that Steve is gonna probably get the same cards, but that's the fun of it, because then it becomes to who's the better overclocker, who's willing to take more risks, and who won the lottery draw. But when it comes to the lottery draw, these are binned chips, as you would expect. These are the best of the best. These are the chips that were set aside to go into their fastest, most limited production card. Now there's a few things that we don't have information on yet. We don't know what the price is gonna be. This is still an early engineering sample. There's gonna be some minor tweaks coming out. We don't know what some of the final rendition of this is going to be. In fact, I asked them if I could overclock it right now because it's running stock out of the box. And they were like, unfortunately, it's not ready, like the BIOS and stuff, there needs to be more tweaks. But in terms of features, it's got some pretty interesting stuff. This is the first water-cooled Kingpin card. Normally we would see these massive copper heatsink designs, which were designed to, 3-fan design or 2-fan on back like the 980 and the 980 Ti. It was one of those things where it's kind of like you take the world's best overclocking card and then put air cooling on it, and it's like, that kind of defeats the purpose. So at least this time they went with a 120mm AIO. Now I asked them if this AIO, being a 120mm, was going to hold back the card in any way, because it's an overclocking card, and they said they found that going with a bigger rad like a 240 didn't really help things very much. Now it's pretty warm, but they also wanted max compatibility with more cases. And because a lot of people are running AIOs and they're going to be putting them in the top or the front of their cases, a 120 has more compatibility with going in that rear exhaust fan setup. But as you can see with the OLED right here, this is going to tie in with their XOC software. And with the OLED display, you can show any bit of information you want. Now currently this card is bouncing between 1920 and 1830 out of the stock settings, or out of the box settings. Nothing's been touched, and it's sitting at, what's the temperature here? It's cycling through, but I think it was sitting at 58C or 54C, 56C. And it's been running Battlefield 5 now for hours. This has been on all day, running Battlefield 5. You can come here and experience it. Of course, RTX is on, 1440p panel, all settings max, and it's sitting at 56C with the fan on a very conservative curve. Okay, so you guys have probably heard by now that NVIDIA has launched its mid-range card, the RTX 2060, another controversial card that people either love or hate. But love it or hate it, it's here. That's next gen, and that's what we've got to talk about. So we've got 3 new cards from EVGA covering the 2060 spectrum. The $349 price point and kind of up from there. So this is the 2060 SC. This is not a reference PCB, but it is they're 204 or 349 would be nice. You guys quote me on that. They're gonna charge $249 for this. Okay, just kidding, please don't quote me. $349 price point. This is the RTX 2060 SC. It's a 4+2 power design. We've got the XC, which is very similar and sound very much alike on camera. SC and XC, which is basically the same thing as the SC, but it's got a little different BIOS, higher boost clock, higher base clock, give you a little bit more performance. The same PCB, same power phase delivery and all of that. This over here, the XC Ultra, is a 2 slot. If you guys can't tell, these are shorter PCBs, but 3 slot. This is a longer card. It is a 2 slot, 6+2 power delivery. And other than that, it's a all custom PCB. So none of these are really based on the Founders Edition PCB, but they are designed for overclocking, give you a little bit extra headroom, trying to give you some more value. Now I don't have concrete pricing on this yet, but it sounds like they are really trying to hit that $349 price point, and these kind of step up incrementally. This one here was said to be something like $389 or somewhere around there. So I think you guys can obviously expect to see 2060s between $350 and $400, depending on how premium the card is. So anyway, guys, that has been what EVGA is showing here with some new cards. Obviously, the 2080 Ti Kingpin. This is important. Like I said, we're going to beat Steve with this, and yeah, this one's actually mine. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Nobody sees me leaving, so this is perfect. I can't get back in.